with an astrology update. So, for those of you who are having difficulty in relationships right now, this message could be for you. Those of you who are single and looking and are finding it difficult or are even in a relationship and there's been a lot of tumult. So, I'm not an astrologer. I know only a little bit about astrology, but right now, until the 12th of April, Mercury is still retrograde and Venus is also retrograde. So there's a lot of tumultuous things happening astrologically that's affecting all of our relationships. And it's actually really not the best time to start a new relationship. It is a period of time where, exes could come back. You could be reevaluating a current relationship. And you could just be really struggling. So, and it's not astrologically the best time to start a relationship. From what I know, from my knowledge, my little bit of knowledge of astrology, the end of April is going to be, specifically the 30th of April, is going to be a better time for us to manifest love, or at least to take action on it. So if you're struggling, it's not just you, it's the astrology, it's the retrograde, it's the Venus retrograde, the Mercury retrograde, and it's all of these different things going on. We have release coming out. Release. Work with Archangel Michael to let go of what no longer serves you and your purposes. If you had, and I said this before in a reading, only because of the little bit that I know about Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde, if there has been a relationship that has been on again and off again for you, and it is now coming up, maybe you just haven't heard from them during this time, or maybe you had. So it could be a time to release those kind of relationships. It's of course going to be a personal decision for you whether or not you completely release this relationship, but it could absolutely be a time to completely just release that, because this is more than likely, this is why you haven't manifested love, because you're still in that karmic cycle of going back to a relationship that we already know just doesn't work. Okay, so for some of you, that could be your story. For others of you, it simply isn't your time yet. Okay, like I said before, a lot of us are struggling. Hi there. Hi. Well, I'm always live, but I've been doing the signs. Yeah, so now is the time to release those on again, off again relationships, those situationships that don't ever really go anywhere. That's really what's blocking you, okay? So, if that is your story, of course, a lot of us have different stories here. Can I pull the divine? Oh, thanks, Pink Panther. I think not, though. So yes, but just know that you aren't the only one struggling, okay? I find it really frustrating because I myself, I have done this pattern before. We've all done this pattern before. We're talking about the astrology right now and why it's so difficult to attract a good, long, healthy relationship, okay? Because we are cutting the cords of the past, a lot of us, and it doesn't just have to be a person from the past. It is patterns that have held us back, okay? The patterns that we have done for in which that we are blocking our own blessings moving forward. And I see it, I find it difficult because I like to watch romance movies. When I watch these movies and I see people break up, and then 2 weeks later they're in a relationship, a better relationship, and they're going to get married with that relationship. And it's really frustrating for me because it's not like that in reality. In reality, people spend years single. They spend years being breadcrumbed by the wrong person. They spend years waiting for someone to come back and allowing that door, for the person who just wants to give them breadcrumbs because they're afraid to let go, because they're afraid they're never going to find anyone. And that's the reality, and I've been there. I've done that. So now is the time to cut the cord with that, with those type of paradigms. If you're relating to me, then you can understand what I'm saying, that we have to not be afraid to be alone. So we have to not be afraid to be alone. And I've talked about this before, about how it's not just us normal people who struggle in love. Celebrities struggle in love. Celebrities get ghosted. I once heard Drew Barrymore in an interview say that she never found the one, she never found the person. It's not just us. That's the way of the world. I talk about this all the time too. Relationships are changing. I was just watching a TV show the other day. Well, there was a throuple. So now we have different types of relationships. We have people who are polyamorous, people who are not monogamous, people who are in relationships with 3 people at a time. And this is why relationships, we feel like we're not having monogamous relationships anymore. Yes, because they're changing, because relationships are changing. So there's a lot of different things going on. Astrologically as well, we are changing our frequency when it comes to love. So if you feel as though there's something that you've been pulled back to, don't go back to the past. Cut that cord completely. Free yourself from it and free yourself from fear. Face that fear. We have to face the fear that maybe we're gonna die single. First of all, that's a story that we tell ourselves. It doesn't have to be true, but we also have to not be afraid of that happening. So there's 2 things going on. There's 2 things going on. We have to not be afraid to be alone, and we also have to stop telling our story that if I don't go back to this person, if I don't let this person back in my life, I'm never going to meet anyone. Okay, so, and it's hard to do because let's not be a fairy book story and lie to ourselves that everybody finds love before they pass away. That's what we're really afraid of here. They don't. And even sometimes celebrities die without ever finding the love of their life. But we can't be afraid of that, but we also can't tell ourselves this story. It's a really delicate thing, and it can't be tied up into a neat little package, okay? But the first step is releasing the fear, okay? I see a lot of people staying in relationships or, staying in these on again, off again relationships because they don't want to be alone with themselves. And the reality is devastating. So we have to not be afraid to be alone with ourselves, number 1, because otherwise we're going to stay in relationships that we shouldn't. But number 2, we can tell ourselves a different story. We can tell ourselves there is a huge probability that I will meet someone else. And if I don't, I'll still be okay. So I think that that's how we can change our story, because you want to set realistic goals for yourself. And yes, we want to say, I know that there's the law of attraction, law of assumption, where you wake up and you say, I already have love. And yes, that's a great way to do it. But do not use that as an excuse to cover up the fact that you're alone. I don't know how to make that make sense, because we still have to be okay with being with ourselves. But believing that you can find something better is also really very important. So it falls within, I'm not an expert on this, but hopefully we can fall within that paradigm where we're not afraid to be alone with ourselves, but we do tell ourselves a story that we can have something better at least. So that we can release these relationships that don't belong in our life. That's kind of what's happening right now, and it's a frequency change, and that during that time, that frequency change, you need that alone time to reflect on why you keep attracting these relationships. Why do I keep attracting them? Why do I keep allowing this person back in? Whatever your situation is, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to hold up a mirror, and then you have to be able to change it. And the change comes from within. So that's why you need that time alone. And that's what we're doing now with the astrology. So things will get better. Things will get better as far as at least we're going to have some momentum at the end of April. So if you feel like you've been stuck in a rut, stuck in the mud, not able to meet anyone, or you're having exes come back, or difficulty in your current relationship, it could absolutely be because of the retrogrades, the 2 retrogrades we have going on. So hold out. And, it's not a good time to start new relationships. At the end of April, though, things are going to get better. And I think I've been saying this for a few months, at least as far as the astrology goes. In the summer, things are going to be way, way better. Starting in May, I feel like things will get easier. Maybe even some of us will, if you're single, maybe you'll meet someone. It could happen. So you have to tell yourself that story though, right? And stop repeating the same patterns that kept you stuck. Let's see what the oracle cards have to say. These are the angel therapy oracle cards. Earth angel. A lot of people who come, I think I have a short that talks about this Earth Angel card. A lot of people who come to tarot are healers, they're light workers, and the thing about that is it's really hard to find a match because you're sensitive to all toxicity, but you have to be able to kind of transmute all of that negativity so that you can meet someone on your frequency. You'll have a tumultuous relationship if you're with somebody who isn't a light worker, who isn't a healer. It's going to be difficult. I feel like we don't talk about that a lot. You know, if you are a light worker, if you are a healer, it's that much more difficult for you because you can see through people and you can see the toxicity and you can see the pain. A lot of the time your empathy keeps you in those relationships because you want to heal them, but you can't heal anyone, you know, if you stay in those relationships. So that's a tricky, delicate balance. Ooh, all right. We have, oh, this came out earlier. Ascended Masters, powerful, loving, spiritual. We have our guides are here. Sometimes things don't work out because our guides are leading us to something better. I believe in that, you know. Yeah, I know. I'm not sure how much I believe in the karmic relationships because I know that they say that there's certain relationships that are on again and off again because they're past life relationships and it's hard to fix those. It's hard to work through those relationships in this realm. I feel like, I don't know if I believe that or not, but I do know that if something isn't working, it's simply if we want to make our lives easier, it's because we're being called to go in a different direction. There's something easier and better. We don't want to struggle in love. We want it to be, I mean, there is some struggle in relationships. That's just inevitable. Crystals. We have the crystals. The energy of crystals support you and helps your present situation. How many of you guys collect crystals? Now, once again, I know that crystals are like a whole woo-woo thing. Like I see rituals on the internet for love and things like that. And I wouldn't put too much stock in it. It doesn't hurt to have them, but I wouldn't put all of your stock into that, if that makes sense. Let's get some other oracle cards. But yes, you're not the only one who's struggling right now. Okay, we're raising our vibrations. We're raising our standards. The end of the month is going to be a time where things are going to be picking up. Things are going to be a little bit easier. And come closer to the summer, things are going to be hitting it off. We're going to be having a great time in the summer. I can't wait for the summer myself. Let's get some chakra wisdom oracle cards. Ooh. Healing the heart chakra with wisdom. It's really hard to take a breakup or take a heartache or take a period of isolation, a period of singleness that's really heavy. It's difficult to learn the lesson from that. I think our ego gets in the way, but I feel like that's exactly what we need to do to make our relationships better is get the lesson, get the wisdom out of, that's kind of what transmuting is. It's taking the heartbreak, it's taking the loss, and it's turning it into something good. We have miracle. Love is a miracle, especially in this day and age because the landscape of relationships has changed. I will keep pounding that home for a lot of us who are holding out for a monogamous relationship that isn't a situationship, that isn't polyamory, that isn't a throuple. It's that much more difficult because the landscape of relationships are changing. So when you do find that, cherish it because it's a miracle. Absolutely, it's a miracle. Okay. Release. This came out twice for us. I think I'm going to read it. Releasing old relationships. I have been guilty of this. I've definitely been that person that is holding on to someone, and that in and of itself will keep you single, will keep you stuck in a relate, or it will keep you single, it will keep you stuck. Okay, so release. Shadow Gray Storm. I can no longer keep your secrets. The legend. Nikita cuts through the graveyard as she rushes home in the wind and rain. She is terrified when Shadow Greystorm appears and speaks in her own voice, repeating painful things she has said to herself and others. It's all your fault. I'll never forgive any of you. As she listens in the rain to her own words, she learns it is she who has been making herself miserable. She leaves the graveyard with a changed heart, ready to forgive herself and others. This is about personal responsibility and release of blame. It is time to clear the debris and move on. You cannot move forward while you continue to hide. So yeah, the key ideas here is that we're releasing, we're not dwelling on the past. We're releasing righteous anger, transmuting that into love, changing consciousness, judgment, seeing clearly, hidden truth, great discovery. So I love that story because, yeah, a lot of the times we want to place the responsibility on other people. But if you're still holding on to someone from the past, the only responsibility, it falls on you to release that. To release that person, to release that situation, to release the anger, and to transmute that into wisdom. Because in Buddhism, anger is transmuted into wisdom. So instead of seeing it as a loss, we can be grateful for the experience and see it as a lesson. And that will allow you to, I want to say, ascend, but it's reaching higher levels of consciousness. And yeah, you're ascending, you're becoming more spiritual, you're vibrating higher or whatever. And so that allows you to attract different types of people and different type of situations, different type of love into your life. But it is not easy to do. It's not easy to do. Releasing is not, it's very difficult. We have gratitude. Be grateful for the relationships that you do have. I think this is not easy either. It is, what is easy to do is to wake up in the morning, to scroll on Instagram, to see all the happy people and all the relationships, all the people who have found their person or whatever, and to feel ungrateful, to feel jealous, to feel envious. It's easy to do that. Don't do that. Especially if you clicked on this video because you're having difficulties finding love. And yes, there's something to the astrology about it. But even at the end of April, you know, when things are moving forward for us, we still have to accept where we are, change the way we perceive our pain, turn our anger and our fear into wisdom, realize that love is a miracle. We were, you know, blessed to have it into our life at all. Release pain from the past, release relationships from the past if we're still holding on, waiting for someone to come back, and be grateful for the relationships that you do have, for the things that you do have. It's really hard, I know, because we want to get up and we want to be angry and we want to be envious and we want to be jealous, and believe me, it's a choice to choose to be that way. We're choosing to be that way. I love this deck. This deck is great. Okay. Get one more card. We have renewal. Yes, it's actually springtime. Springtime is a time to feel renewed, releasing our exes, releasing our pain, releasing our anger, and stepping into gratitude can make you feel renewed and refreshed. 100%. This is going to be the root chakra, tapping into your root chakra. Whatever you need to do, however you need to do that. It's a process. It's a process for everyone. Ooh, we have the victim. Yes, I don't talk about this as often as I should, but sometimes we are a victim of circumstances, but we're really only a victim of our self-perception. So everything is a choice, as I was saying before. If you see yourself as a victim of circumstances, you can choose to see yourself as an empowered person and step into gratitude, and that will completely change the things that you attract. It will change your life. Instead of like being put upon, feeling bad about yourself, you know, oh, my ex was so bad, they did this to me and I feel bad. Yes, maybe they did do those things, but separate, detach from being the victim, because that happened already. Now you can reclaim your gratitude. Be grateful that it ended. Be grateful that it's over, and start to try and feel renewed again, and step out of the victim mentality. That's hard to do as well. But these are patterns that keep you stuck, because if you constantly, go around thinking that you're a victim and that people take advantage of you, that you're telling yourself a story, and then you're going to attract that into your life again. You want to be mindful of the things that you think, because they become your reality. Gossip, yes. I mean, this is a given. This is a given. So it's really easy to fall into a pattern of gossiping about your ex because you want them back, or because it's easy to gossip, but honestly, all it really does is keep you stuck in a cycle of pain. And in order to release, you want to stop gossiping, let it go, and you'll see how things change around you when you release all these things. Okay, you guys, I'm going to get on out of here. I hope this reading elevated your consciousness in some type of way, shape, or form. Check me out tomorrow. I'll be coming back to do the free questions live here on this channel. So go ahead and subscribe. Get your friends to subscribe. You can share the stream. I'll see y'all later. Bye.